Hi, my name is Ursula Damani, and I'm here to tell you about my brother, Jason Neil Fulton. That really cute, handsome guy. My brother was born in 1970 in California. Unfortunately, I came along almost 9 years later and was the perpetual or the quintessential annoying little sister with a big brother that I adored and would follow everywhere, much to his chagrin. Yes, my brother died from AIDS, and I'll tell you how that happened. But I think through that, what's most important to remember is how he lived. And that may his life and all of those affected, hemophiliacs affected with HIV and succumbed to this disease, be a reminder that we can't let that happen again. It is our responsibility as a public, as a country, not to willingly or knowingly or however allow such a tragedy to occur. So Jason had the most contagious smile and laughter. And when he would start giggling, he often couldn't stop. And before you knew it, the whole room would be laughing. He was the quintessential prankster, perpetually using me as a scapegoat. We used to have these imaginary friends, Maynard and Minard. And if he did something, or he'd walk by and kick me or punch me or torture me or whatever, if he couldn't blame it on his imaginary friend, or if something broke or anything happened in the house, it was me. But he it was fine because he was my big brother. He was amazing. He could do anything. I'll never forget the night my mom was gone and we were home. He was watching me, and a thunderstorm hit, and I was scared. And he held me, kept me calm, taught me to count. He was everything. He was everything. So much so, the fact that he had hemophilia wasn't the main story of our childhood. It was a part of it, sure. All the trips to the hospital, refrigerator full of coagulant, the syringes around the house, him getting a bleed, breaking out needles. That was normal. That was a Tuesday. It was all the other stuff. It was basketball in the backyard. My mom yelling at him, "Stop pounding on your ankles." It was the trips to the mountains. It was riding our bikes in the street. It was playing in our backyard. It was so much more. It was so much more. He was so much more than a young man with hemophilia. He, so much so, it's a great story. When we were kids, we grew up it was the Central Valley of California. We'd have these really hot summers. I mean, like scorching hot summers. And I really think my brother should get the credit for the Super Soaker, because he would get, thanks to our friends at all the pharmaceutical distributors, and for his treatments, we got access to these amazing, like, veterinary sized syringes, and we would pump them full of water. And it was the precursor to the Super Soaker, really. We'd have the most epic water fights in our front yard. But that was Jason. It wasn't his main story. It was just part of it. As life went on, and he graduated from high school and starting college and living, and there were the occasional trips to the emergency room, and there were health hiccups along the way, and that wasn't something that stopped him from living the most full and joyful life. I'll never forget the moment that I realized that something bigger was at foot, that my brother might not be in my life forever. I first became aware of a growing number of hemophiliacs coming down with HIV in the early 90s. I was a young teen, and it wasn't something we talked about openly in our family or publicly really ever. I mean, Jason had hemophilia, and that was our story. I was laying in bed with my mom, and it was dark. I forget, we were laying there in the dark, and I remember asking her, and I said, Mom, does Jason have AIDS? And it got real quiet. And she didn't say anything. And she couldn't answer me. It wasn't a yes or no. She just said, honey, we know that about 90% of all hemophiliacs are HIV positive. And I thought, well, oh, great. No problem. Jason's obviously in the 10%. Like, we're good here. It's fine. It wasn't until about a year later we got the call that he was in the emergency room. Again, kind of routine. And he was diagnosed with his first life-threatening disease, spinal meningitis. Did we know that the future we thought we were going to have with him in our lives was forever altered? That the reality that my brother was HIV positive, and not just HIV positive, he had started to transition into full-blown AIDS, was it wasn't just devastating, it was a tragedy. Because as we started to learn that the government knew. The government knew. They knew. They knew that the hemophiliacs were being given contaminated blood. Not just blood and coagulant. Every time my brother had to shoot up, it was like having sex with 1,000 people. And those people were coming from the most at-risk populations in the United States. But again, that wasn't going to be his story. He continued to live, fight, stayed in school, stayed in college. When he finally passed in 1995, he had made the decision to stop all life-prolonging medications. He knew he'd fought the good fight. And because of his faith in God, he was going to be going to a much better place. And it wasn't the end of our story as a family. With his passing, my brother not only gave me the love of a brother and a full childhood, he also taught me how beautiful life is. Not to take it for granted, to live every second, to live it boldly, bravely. Don't take no for an answer. And to give. Give your joy. Give your heart. I hope his life and all of those that we've lost are a reminder, not just of these men, these unsung heroes, but a reminder to our country, to our government, to big business, that there is a face behind the decisions they make. There's families. May we never make those decisions again. And the memory of all of those men live on as a testament. Life is an amazing thing. We can't take it for granted. Thank you.